Since ChatGPT came out, everybody is talking about AI. Some are scared, some are intimidated, some are excited because it is going to erode a lot of jobs, but at the same time, it is going to open a lot of opportunities for us as well. Because if you are an investor, you can get onto the companies like Nvidia and take a lot of profit. And if you're an IT professional, you can also jump onto this AI bandwagon so that you can revamp your skills and be relevant in the job market. So in this video, I have invited one of my friend who is an AI practitioner, but he started as a typical engineer, worked in different telecom companies, and then completely changed his career in the last few years, being at the forefront of this AI revolution. So we want to learn from him in terms of how we can change our career to be more relevant in the job market and how we see this world is changing. And at the same time, we are going to learn from his solopreneurship journey, that how he changed his 9 to 5 jobs to become a more self-employed person. But before we get into the podcast, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, because I get a lot of motivation when you guys subscribe, hit the like button, and give me a lot of comments. That gives me a lot of motivation to continue producing more content like this one. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching my video channel. So today I have invited my friend Adnan, who has been in the industry for quite some time, and he has been helping other businesses with regards to artificial intelligence. And I think it's important for us to understand from his story how he has changed his career for the last 3 years in terms of moving away from a traditional engineering job towards the AI practitioner, and how he can guide us, the experienced professional as well as the young professionals, how we can pivot our career towards AI as well. Adnan, thank you very much. Start with your introduction, please.
Thank you, Yasin. It's a pleasure having been introduced to you and coming on your channel. I would love to speak about my journey, and I think it is a great inspiration for many people who are either learning more about AI, thinking about transitioning to AI. So my journey goes back to Dubai. I was born and raised in Dubai. I lived my whole life there, and like any traditional Pakistani family, they want their kids to be either engineers or doctors. So I chose the engineering field. I graduated from American University of Sharjah. I did my bachelor's and master's from there, and then I was plucked from there directly by the biggest telecom operator, Etisalat, and I worked there for 11 years as a telecom engineer. And honestly speaking, I didn't really enjoy my work. There was a lot of mundane tasks that we were doing, day in, day out. And my mind was always thinking about automation. And I used to love coding, I used to love automation. And even when I used to use Excel sheets, I used to automate those Excel sheets, using VBA programming and stuff. And at that time, there was no artificial intelligence, at least in that part of the world. There wasn't much conversation about it. I couldn't learn about it. But then in 2018, I moved to Canada, and that's when I got introduced to AI. Right. In fact, at that time, it was more popular as data science. So I attended a cohort, and they were teaching about data scientists. They had got one. They had one professor come in and teach us about data science, and that was the spark for me, the lightning moment for me. I knew that this is something I would love to go into. I would love to learn about. And then I took it upon myself to self learn AI. I did not want to spend more money on further education. I had done tons of certifications and masters and stuff like that. And I think that for me that was a good choice, because I was learning what was relevant, what was out there at that moment. And the best thing about Canada is, and we'll get into more detail about this, is that you can easily network with people. So I was networking a lot in Canada. I was reaching out to a lot of data scientists, asking them what would be my career path if I want to move into data science. I was working in Rogers there as a telecom engineer. Even within Rogers, I was reaching out to the data scientists there and asking, what is your daily tasks like? What are you working on? And that's how I got interested into AI. And then every single day I read this. I saw this YouTube video about transitioning into AI, and that person said that if you cannot code us every single day, then you're not serious about AI. So I made sure that every single day I was learning AI. I was coding in AI, and I did this for a whole year. And then that gave me the platform to start using AI in my own work. And then I used that AI work as showcasing, as as interviews outside. And then I transition into a job that was a full scale AI data scientist. So that was in a nutshell how I transitioned from an engineering role to an AI role.
Wow, this is quite impressive. And you mentioned that you attended a cohort. So was it in the university or was it at your workplace that the professor came in?
No, so usually, like in Canada, there's a lot of groups, and I think it's all around the world. There's a lot of WhatsApp groups who like-minded people get together, and then they try to learn a subject, right? And it can be anything. It could be painting and knitting and whatever. So this specific group was learning about AI, and that's when one of our common friends, he was working in this field. He had done a PhD in AI, and that's how he would come in and teach us. And I think this cohort went on for a month. And the best thing about this was that we were working on a live use case, so we were working on an actual project, and we were working as if we are an actual team in a company. So it's not an academic setting. It's a very different setting. It's a very hands-on experience.
This is interesting because when I think about these kind of cohorts, I imagine, how the traditional academic world will change in the next 5 years because you don't really learn this stuff in the university anymore, right? University is all about theoretical knowledge, very little about the practical knowledge, and you only get to get your hands-on training outside the academia, right? So when I think about that, I realize, how relevant the university education is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years, um, especially with regards to cost, right? Because it's so expensive to get a university degree. But if it doesn't give you the quality education that you want to learn to get into in the industry, then it's not, really giving you the platform.
I mean, for example, even from my engineering background, when I did my university, we were learning basic analog and digital techniques. When I went into my actual job,
Mhm.
even though at that time there was early 3G and then 4G and 5G came later on, but even those technologies was years beyond what we had learned in academia. So I had to
Yeah,
spend so much time. Now, of course, the justification that the professors and the universities would say is we are only providing you the foundations, and then you have to build up on that in the actual world. But I would say that they need to provide a more stronger foundation
yeah,
because
exactly.
the guys who are learning from, let's say, Udemy and these other platforms, they have more up to date information than what's out
They're
there in
way
the
ahead.
university. Yeah,
Exactly. And it's so cost competitive, right? So imagine if a person went into Harvard and then have the AI related degree, and he must have spent at least $200,000 to $300,000 on his degree, right? If it's a 4 year degree, compared to a person who took just few courses on Udemy and he's ready to execute in the real world, right? So from cost perspective, it's unparalleled. So okay, that's good. That's very interesting. Um, so let so tell us about industry evolution. So we are seeing after ChatGPT, the AI is becoming like a very forefront technology in every single domain, especially in the if you're writing a blog or if you're creating some sort of a content. We have so many free tools available that we can leverage. But outside of those visible domains, how do you see the AI is becoming so prevalent, especially in other industry verticals like healthcare, automotive, or utility companies, or even supply chain? How do you see this is becoming like a very much prevalent technology so that we know where the industry is moving and we all should be able to, revamp our skills to be ready for that?
absolutely. Yasin, I think honestly speaking, AI has been around for quite some time. We just didn't realize it. So, for example, a very small example is smartphones. They were using autocomplete, right? When you would type something, it would complete it. It would suggest you the next word and stuff like that. Or even basic things like thumbprint unlocking and then facial recognition and all these stuff. These are all AI technologies. What we are now witnessing is democratization of AI. AI is now coming into the hands of the common people, right? Before this, they were only in a few selected highly, tech companies who are able to use these AI technologies. But after ChatGPT, I would say now AI has come into the hands of every common person. Everyone is being able to use it. They are now being exposed to AI much more rapidly than they were being used before. And I would like to talk about also the industrial revolutions, right? Like they also say that there was the first industrial revolution, that was the mechanical one. The second one came, electricity came, spread all across the world. Third one came, internet came, and now we're in the fourth one, which is automation, AI, and these ones, right? And again, the experts say that AI is going to spread just like electricity, just like fire, just like automotives and stuff like that. So AI is now predicted to go into every single vertical, regardless of which industry we are talking about. When I was learning, and by the way, I also teach in the weekends, I teach MIT courses, and we are giving use cases, and these use cases span across industries, healthcare, education, retail, real estate, hospitality, everywhere. Because now, with these smartphones and these IoT sensors and all these things, there's an abundance of data. And data is the lifeline of AI. When you have this much data, you can use any kind of AI applications, right? And you give an example of healthcare. So, for example, in healthcare, now what we can do with AI is we can take a lot of X-ray scans. Let's just giving you one example, a lot of X-ray scans, and then AI can learn which X-ray scans belong to a specific kind of disease. Where do you find these diseases? And when, let's say, a new lab researcher looks at the scan, AI can already help them. And we call this augmentation. So AI can already spot these anomalies for them, and then they can give the final say and say, okay, yeah, this person has this disease or not. So a lot of applications are there, and the next phase, and which we are quickly going into, we call it the fifth industrial revolution, is when AI or robotics and humans are working hand to hand. And you must have seen in the recent past, so many different companies have launched robotics. For example, OpenAI, the founders of ChatGPT, they launched a
Mhm.
video about a robot who was conversing with the human and also understanding basic operations. Pick an apple, put it here, stuff like that. So it might sound sci-fi, but we might be in an era where we would see robots or at least AI agents, right? For example, you're calling some contact center, and AI agent answers you and helps you out. So at least we would see these kind of technologies very soon. So AI is
I
growing at
think
a
we
rapid
are already
space.
seeing. Yeah, I think we are already seeing those technologies today. So and I think 4 years ago I started watching Boston Dynamics.
Yes,
They were putting a lot of videos on LinkedIn
yes,
in terms of how they're creating those robots.
yes,
They might have been in the testing phase or trial phase, but this was like 4 years ago.
yes,
So imagine, how advanced those robots uh, are today.
yes.
After that kind of a testing era. So I think that technology was still there. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And so, based upon that, do you see that we are in already in the Industrial Revolution 4 now, and we are
We are
actually
in
slowly
four.
moving
Yeah,
into let's
exactly. We are
yeah,
we are in four. That's for sure. But we are very very rapidly moving into the Industrial Revolution 5,
into
where
yeah,
we would see a lot of robotics and automations and AI bots around us, right? And there's
yeah.
another thing that ChatGPT did that was not done very commonly before. You spoke about Boston Robotics, right? Previously, they were making AI models and robots that are specific to a task. Let's say a robot is just used for welding machines, right? That robot
Hmm.
is not expected to go and cook food. That robot is not expected to converse with a human. Similarly, AI models previously were being made for specific purposes. We had an, let's say, a sales projection model. We had an anomaly detection model. I was in telecom. We were making 5G prediction models, stuff like that, right? Now, these models are not expected to go and write a Shakespeare poem, right? But when ChatGPT came, it was being used for every single thing. People were using it for writing code, for writing poems, and then this is also another phase that we are moving into. Some experts say we will never reach it, but there's another AI called AGI, artificial general intelligence. And basically, what this means is that that model or that AI bot is now able to do more than one task rather than just being
Hmm.
specific to one task. Because we have a lot of AI models that are experts at playing chess, experts at doing something, but they're not experts at doing everything. Now we're moving into an era where we might see that there are AI models or AI robots that are able to do several tasks, not just train for one specific task. So lots of
Yeah.
things are happening. Let's see how they pan out.
It sounds scary, and it sounds intimidating as well at the same time.
Yes,
Because when we look around in terms of the skills that we have, I see those skills will be uh, you know um, eroded, very soon, once these
Yes.
technologies are available at the forefront. And I think ChatGPT to some extent is already very much generalized AI, right? Because
Yes.
it can give you the answers about pretty much everything. It depends, how you're going to ask that question. So you have to basically create a prompt,
Mm.
and if the prompt is created properly, then it can give you pretty much answer to
Yeah.
any related topic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever it's trained upon public data. So
Hmm.
if a hospital has some private data, then it will not have answers to those. But there are
Right.
workaround for that. You can fine tune those models for your private data, and then it can also
Hmm.
become an expert on that. But yeah, you're right. It is that's the beauty of ChatGPT and these large language models, that they are trained on such massive data sets that they seem to
Hmm.
be good at everything.
Yeah, because I'm in the contact center industry, so I'm already seeing that how the chatbots and voice bots are being used in the industry today, and how they can be trained on any specific vertical data, whether this is
Yes,
healthcare, industrial, insurance, finance. So it can basically train on based their own private data as well, and those bots can be able to respond to the customer queries based upon the specific
exactly,
data.
exactly.
So that's already happened.
That's happening, yes.
So
And in fact, I haven't been exposed to it so much in Canada as much as I've been exposed to it in Dubai. Dubai has, any industry that you seek, most probably you will find a WhatsApp link on their website. And when you go to the WhatsApp link, it has a bot over there, and the bot is
mhm,
answering your questions. So, for example, I had a delivery, so the bot would ask me what date you want to prefer, what location, this and that. Any
mm.
questions you have, you just conversing with that bot. So it's very prevalent here
So
in Dubai.
what I notice, I think WhatsApp is one of the most useful channel across the world, except North America. Like
Yeah.
when you go into Europe, you find this is being used by consumers and business together,
Yes.
in Middle East, in Asia, and in South America as well, but not in North America. I
Yeah.
don't see WhatsApp being used by businesses in Canada or
Yeah.
in United States. What do you see is the reason here?
I would most probably think about data privacy. For example,
Mm,
a lot of companies I've worked with, they would not allow you to converse on WhatsApp groups. They would only ask you to talk on Teams or their own Slack channels and stuff like that. Because when you go
right,
to
right.
WhatsApp, even though they say it's end to end encrypted and stuff, some companies or some countries don't really trust it. So I would
Mhm.
assume that data privacy would be the number one thing.
Yeah, but I think Europe has been very famous in terms of very strict data privacy laws. But I think they have allowed WhatsApp being used by consumers and
Yeah.
businesses to some extent. That's kind of
Yeah.
a
So
little bit shocking.
because I remember long, long ago, Blackberry, it used to be very common in Dubai, and then they blocked it because
Mhm.
Dubai has a rule that they need to see all the data coming in and out of the country. So BlackBerry had to set up a server in Dubai, give the government some access, and that's when they got it unlocked again. So who knows? Maybe Europe has put some restrictions and WhatsApp is obliged,
Mm,
but in North America, maybe situations are different.
yeah, most likely.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's move on to our second topic, which is the career guidance. So we talked about the young engineers who are coming out of university today, and we know that how expensive the university education has been. Students have to put a lot of effort, time, money to become like a graduated engineer.
yeah,
So what do you suggest they should do in terms of getting ready for the field, because the field is running at a light speed.
yes,
What
yes,
they study in the university may not be up to the speed compared to what the industry is asking for.
yes.
So what do you suggest to those young engineers that they should be ready for the skills that the industry is requiring them to be able to be part of the workforce?
Yeah. So my number one advice would be to buckle up. It's gonna be a tough, route ahead. I know in my days I used to think that okay, we've finished 4 years and it's gonna be easy sailing, but now it's gonna be much much harder. So new graduates are would be required to outshine other graduates or other resources. So so they have to be in this mental state that okay, I will do what it takes because it's the requirements will keep changing. Right now, it might be that you need to learn Python coding, right? If you want to become an AI coder. Tomorrow, it might be some other programming language or maybe some other tools and softwares. So, So first of all, be in that mindset that okay, I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to outshine myself amongst the others, and whatever is required, I'm going to do it, right. Now, if they are from technical backgrounds like engineers and IT and coders and stuff like that, then I would highly suggest that they learn Python coding. In my university, we had learned C programming, but not Python. So Python was something that it was the first language that I learned myself, right? And then Python, and then secondly, you will have to deal with data, and most of the data sources out there are SQL databases. So I would suggest also for them to learn SQL databases only for the purposes of extracting data and working on it, right? You're not a data engineer. You're not required to create databases, but you are required to
Mhm.
deal with data sets, right? So coding and dealing with data set, these are the two things that they need to know if they are in the technical fields. If they're in non-technical fields, let's say, an architect says that, I have no dealings with AI. Why should I bother about AI? My suggestions to them also would be that no, you need to learn about AI and not become a coder, but at least understand how AI works, right? There is a model, there is some training data, and then there are some predictions. So even when you're dealing with ChatGPT, you should know what's happening. Many people don't know that the prompts that you're giving, the information you're sharing with ChatGPT, gets reused and retrains the model, right? So there is some privacy concerns. We should not give some confidential information, stuff like that. So architects and the other non-technical fields, I would say, they should still be aware how AI is influencing their fields. They should also try to learn new and new tools that are out there. For example, I went to one conference once, and there was an AI tool for AutoCAD designers. So instead of designing a whole civil drawing, the AutoCAD, the AI model will give an AutoCAD drawing by itself. So imagine there is one graduate who is doing it by hand, taking a week, and then there's another graduate who is using this AI tool. It gives him a great starting point, and then he finishes the whole drawing. He or she finishes the whole drawing in 2 days, right? So there's a clear edge for a person using AI and a person not using AI. So again, be aware of how AI is influencing your field. Try to learn some tools that are out there. That's how you will become more relevant in the industry rather than just giving academics and coming as a graduate.
That's good. I think this is very helpful for the young engineers. I think they have to get their hands dirty as soon as possible,
Yes,
in terms of learning the coding, and then be relevant in terms of understanding the way the technology is working.
exactly.
Um, Going back to the non-technical resources. So, for example, people who are in management roles, or people who are like sales guys, like myself.
Yeah,
Um, so, if we want to be relevant in the industry with regards to sales, what do you suggest, we should take on in terms of courses or training, that we should have enough knowledge to communicate with the business leader? So if
yeah,
I'm the sales guy going into, let's say, Honda dealership, right? And I wanted to sell them a AI tool that can help them to optimize their internal operations, or
yes.
improve their sales projection going forward. What do you suggest, I should be looking at in terms of getting
So
my skills easily ramped up?
yes, if you are in sales, what you suggested already that you are using ChatGPT, that would be my number one suggestion. You should, instead of writing your whole sales pitch by yourself, use ChatGPT, try to come up with a better starting point and then work on that. And secondly, if you are sales and you are selling AI products, then you must know some linguistics about AI. For example, accuracy has a very different meaning in AI than it has outside, right? There are some other metrics that you need to learn about, like recall, precision. For example, when you go and present an AI, if you are presenting an AI model to me, I will not ask you what is the accuracy. I will ask you what is the precision, what is the recall, what is your training data, stuff like that. I will not ask you, of course, to show me your code or improve the code and stuff like that, because I know you're a salesperson, right? So if
Mhm.
you are in sales and you're dealing with AI products, then you need to learn what are the AI specific metrics that each model is governed by. What does, let's say, ChatGPT, what does LLM mean? So basically, all these acronyms that are famous outside, what do these mean on a very high surface level, right? Maybe take a LinkedIn course on what is an LLM, or maybe take a small Udemy course, right?
Mhm.
Don't no need to go into the code. And by the way, there's a lot of tools out there right now. There are called low code or no code, basically just drag and drop. So you could even have an AI engineer that knows no coding. He just drags and drops a few blocks and then makes an AI model. He will not be very competent in optimizing that model because he doesn't know the inner workings, but he can still
Mhm.
make something that works, right? So
Yeah.
superficial knowledge, at least to have an understanding of when you're speaking to an AI person like me, then we will have the same understanding.
Yeah, we actually use it in our product as well. So I work for Cisco, and we have contact center products. So we build like a low code, no code tool that
Yeah,
allows a non-technical contact center guy to basically drag and drop some modules to create a
exactly,
workflow, right?
exactly.
So if he wants to treat a incoming call or incoming chat conversation to go through a certain way, they can basically create a small workflow without having to
Learn
program
how to
the
code.
the script
Exactly,
itself. So
exactly.
yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your solopreneurship journey. So I know that you have been working in Etisalat before, then you came to Canada,
Yeah,
you worked in at Rogers, then when you change your entire career towards AI, you became self-employed.
yes.
So tell us about that journey and how you can motivate the other salaried employed who are stuck in that 9 to 5 job, how they can be in solopreneurship and then basically work for themselves and start creating a business from scratch.
Absolutely. So this was something that was, honestly speaking, in Dubai, there was, at least around me, everybody was employed. Everybody was doing that 9 to 5 shift that you're talking about, right? There was no concept of being a solopreneurship or running your own company. When I went to Canada, actually, my first job was a solopreneurship, my very first job, because I was working as a consultant, as a telecom consultant, and they didn't want to hire me, they wanted to work with the company. So this was the very first time I was exposed to this concept that you can, in Canada, you can set up a corporation, and it just happens within minutes. You can just go online and set up a corporation, right? You have to set up a corporation, and then you are also the director of the corporation and also an employee, a resource that gets hired by other companies. And that's the way they wanted to work with me. And so the plus point is that you are your own boss. You get to sign your own terms. You get a flat rate of per hour, right? And then you can choose how many hours you work. Anytime you want to take off, you can take off. And the downside, of course, is that there's no benefits, there's no health benefits. It's all covered inside that hourly rate. If you don't work, you don't get paid. There are no annual leaves or stuff like
Mhm.
that. So there is a plus and minus. So I started off with that, and everybody around me was like, "Yeah, yeah, you have to start like this, and you have to go as a full timer because that's where all the benefits are, right?" And I worked as a full timer, like you said, at Rogers. But then I always felt that I'm paying for stuff I'm never using. For example, health insurance. A portion of your salary goes for health insurance and dental and stuff like that. And if you look at it at the end of the year, you haven't really availed as much as you have spent over there. And similarly, we were buying stocks for the companies you're working for. It's a way that they ensure your loyalty and that you work for that company. And again, I had no interest in those things.
Mhm.
So I felt like a lot of investments are going in places I don't want. And the biggest disadvantage of full-time employees is that Canadian government cuts your tax, before it even reaches your hand. Whereas if you are a corporate or if you are self-employed or a solopreneurship, then you can keep all the money till the end of the year, show your expenses, and that's when the taxes get calculated, right? So imagine you have an extra set of money to be used the whole year, and then at the end of the year you decide or you show how much tax you have. So there's a huge plus and minus, even mentally,
Mhm.
right? A tax cut on a monthly basis versus an annual tax cut at the end. So all these things combined, and I always wanted to move into AI, and I also always wanted to do my own stuff. And when I got the transition into AI, I decided that I must, hit two birds with one stone. And then I decided, okay, I should run my own
Mhm.
company, and that's how my solopreneurship journey began. I started off in Canada, and then I've expanded now in Dubai.
That's very, very interesting and very motivating as well. So when you started your own company, how were you approaching the businesses? Like, did you have some sort of a sales guy helping you to kind of connect with the businesses, or you were using some sort of a platform to hunt for those business leaders that you can go and reach out to? Like, what was your sales journey?
So I think now, as we're moving into this new era, right? And you were speaking about jobs and stuff like that. So social media, I feel, is a very, very strong platform, and especially like
Hmm.
LinkedIn. And interestingly enough, my first AI job that I landed was through LinkedIn, and it was more of I would say a pull marketing, because when I set up myself as an AI person, the recruiters were coming by themselves, and that's how I landed my first role as an AI consultant. And that's how I'm trying to do marketing as
Mhm.
well. I'm directly connecting with my audience. For example, B2B clients. I'm directly connecting with them, and then regarding based on the industry that they're working on, I would target them and say, okay, do you know that in your industry you can have these many advantages, but just by using AI? And then of course I'm also, because I'm here on the field, I'm also meeting people in directly. And like I said, I'm born in Dubai, so I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people. As soon as I landed, I had a meeting lined up, and I met some decision makers, and I would have discussions with them. And the best thing about Dubai is, and in fact this region now, is that everybody's so aware of AI. They have a whole ministry of AI. They have a lot of talks about AI. So everybody realizes that, okay, we need AI. So you don't have to spend a lot of time convincing for that part. What you do need to convince is that, okay, now is the right time, and you should start acting right
Mhm.
now. So I would say I'm focusing on both platforms, LinkedIn, and also directly meeting people. You asked if I'm hiring people, so I do have a salesperson, but there are very few salespersons who are trained on AI. So I need to train them first, teach them how AI works, and then when they are confident enough, they can go and speak to the clients, right?
Mhm. Very good, very interesting. Um, Lastly, you have worked in both regions. You have worked in Canada, and you mentioned that this was the beginning of your AI journey, right? So you started taking
Yes,
courses and you changed your career. You set up a self-employed corporation here before you move on to Dubai back. So how do you see
yes.
comparatively, Canadian market versus UAE or Dubai in terms of the technology adoption, how the businesses are aware of AI revolution, and how do you see which region is more advanced in terms of understanding what's coming 3 years down the road and how they should be ready to kind of embrace that.
Yeah. So let me give you a story. When I was in Canada, I was working for one of these top companies, and when ChatGPT came, before that, they had only one AI unit that was run by me, and it was in Canada, and we were taking projects for the whole of North America. When ChatGPT came, our executives, they decided that no, we need to jump on this right away. And then they formed another AI team in US that was leading three generative AI projects. From zero projects, they jumped to three AI projects, and all the three projects were with the big tech companies. One with Microsoft, one with Amazon, one with Google. So adoption is fast, but I would say it's not that widespread. So the big companies, they are adopting very fast to AI in Canada, but the small companies, the medium enterprises, I wouldn't say that they are adopting it that fast. What I see in Dubai is that the awareness is much more, and in Dubai there is this goal that everybody has, that they want to become number one in the world, right? So in Canada, they're driven by need. So if there is a need for it, they would go for it.
Yeah,
In Dubai, they're driven by being number one.
it boils down to the funding,
So
right?
there's a bit of
It's boiled. Yeah,
exactly, absolutely,
yeah. I mean, in
absolutely.
Dubai,
When
there
I
is
was
no lack
working
of
at
funding
Rogers,
for
we
these
had to
projects.
do
So because government is willing
yes,
to, pile up all the funding for you if you have a nice idea. But when it comes to Canada,
yes,
we always struggle for funding source because it
yes,
has to be viable project before you can get some investor
yes,
lined up. So yeah,
exactly, exactly.
okay.
So there is I would say there is adoption in
Mhm.
both places. It's just at different
Right, right.
levels.
Um, okay, so thank you very much, Adnan. This has been very, very knowledgeful session, and I hope that the audience will get a lot of tips and career guidance out of that. Any last words that you want to share with us before we wrap up the session?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure being here. And my last words would be like, you started off as saying that this is intimidating. It is absolutely intimidating. There is a lot of unknowns with regards to AI, right? But I would like to, quote Sal Khan, who from the Khan Academy, and he gave a speech on TED Talks about AI and how he's using AI for his education, for his Khan Academy. And he was like that, I feel that the AI will be more dangerous when the good guys stop using AI, and the AI falls into the hands of the bad guys. So my point would be for all the audience, if everybody listening, is that if we, the good guys, I mean, it's a bit, uh, proud of me to say I'm a good guy, but if the good guys stop using AI, that's when the problems will come. So we should not be scared about using AI, because we should understand it, we should embrace it, and that's how we can learn how to use it for the benefit of everybody instead of for harming others.
That's right. It reminds me of beginning of the internet, right? So when the internet was coming up, everybody was just scared. Okay, internet was is going to replace our jobs,
Yes.
but it was the point where if you start working with internet with the applications, then of course you will progress. Versus if you just stay behind,
Yes.
then you will be irrelevant very very soon. And I think
Absolutely.
that's the same story with AI, right? You have to be you have to make sure that you work with AI tools to be relevant. Otherwise, the industry will move very fast,
Exactly.
and you will be very much irrelevant in the next few years if you don't get onto that,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
All
so
right.
Adnan, thanks very much again, time with us, and I'm sure we will touch base again in the next episodes.
Best of luck,
Thank you.
Yasin. Thank you so much.